Hi everyone, this is Richard from Electric Bike Report in the UK. Here we're looking at the Tenways CGO800S. This is a brand new city bike from Tenways. It's a single speed, step-through design as you can see, single speed, belt drive with a small rear hub motor. A little bit of history about Tenways. They're a relatively new company. They've got bases in Asia and Europe, and they've already crowdfunded very successfully one e-bike, which is rather a different design to this. So this is their second e-bike. Tenways was rolling out its dealer network just as we were putting together this video, so there's still the option of deliver it direct from the manufacturers. So here's what to expect if you choose the latter option. You also get assembly tools, reflectors, pedals and a 3-amp charger. Removal of the large amount of protective packaging is probably the most time consuming part of the assembly. One package to bolt on the front mudguard and light to the front fork and insert the front wheel. It uses a standard quick release skewer, so fitting's really straightforward. Just make sure it's done up tight enough. Lastly, put in the frame integrated battery, which goes in with a nice simple reassuring click of the lock, and fit the pedals, and then you're ready to ride. A relatively low step-through height, very easy to get on and off, and it's also geometry wise it's a nice upright riding position, swept back bars, nice and easy to sit up comfortably, ride in safety in busy traffic and see what's going on around you with those swept back bars there. And another major difference is this frame integrated removable battery, 374 watt hour battery, key operated as you can see, unlike the first bike which had a non-removable battery. You've also got these large 28-inch free rolling tyres, and they're a bit wider profile as well than the first bike, so they're 28 by 2-inch wide. Full equipment, a nice strong rear rack with this metal, very sturdy rear mudguard, which is kind of part of the same construction at the back, which makes the whole thing nice and rigid and strong. You've also got similar mudguard at the front and these really good front and rear lights. These were very powerful. Finally, you've got an integrated handlebar stem display in the middle here. We'll go through all the details of that later, but that's a new feature for this bike too. The CGO800S managed 28.4 miles from a full charge using the top power level 5 out of 5 in our range test. This was using the city bike test course, which is moderately hilly and all on tarmac, rather than our trekking test course, which we use more for electric mountain bikes and much more off-road capable bikes. The city bike test course still features 2,398 feet of climbing or thereabouts. Over the same course, but switching between power modes, the range was 43.2 miles, and much of that time was spent in lower power levels. We also conducted a circuit test with the CGO800S. That's a 1.25 mile loop with a small hill, 4 turns and a couple of narrow sections where some slowing is required. The test rider does a lap at each pedal assister level, starting with the motor off. This gives an idea of average speed at each of the assistance levels, and it shows the difference in assist a rider can expect between all the pedal assist settings. Most obviously in this test we saw the huge value of adding electric assist, so obviously the time without any assistance was pretty slow up the small hill and felt really pretty hard work. This really is just a natural product of having a single gear. We also noticed there's not a huge difference in power delivered between any of the levels, only around 10 seconds separated level 1 from level 5, which is a lot less than a lot of other circuit tests with other bikes. The Tenways CGO800S is a remarkably stable and comfortable e-bike to ride. That's great in a city e-bike where you might want to mix it with busy traffic sometimes. It's got stable handling in corners and an upright riding position that means it's easy to look around without affecting the handling of the bike in any way at all. That's really useful in busy fast traffic where you might need to signal sometimes. In these conditions you want a bike you don't really have to think about riding, and the single speed works nicely to this end. You've only got to pedal and brake, and that means you can think about the road position, where the traffic is, when to signal, and you don't have to worry about operating the bike itself. The 28-inch tyres are 2-inch wide. That's quite a large diameter and volume, and the suspension Suntour forks give you the confidence to descend at speed, knowing you can negotiate any obstacles that suddenly arrive. The fact the bike's weight is nicely balanced with an in-frame battery and a small rear hub motor also helps here. I found the smooth and responsive torque sensing particularly useful in some situations, such as having to climb slowly whilst negotiate traffic around you. As long as the hill isn't too steep, the responsive torque sensing is also handy for hill starts. As soon as you press on the pedals, the motor springs into life and you've got smooth and easy acceleration with no straining and no wobbling about. Low speed handling is pretty easy and stable thanks to those big diameter wheels and the nice balance of the bike as well. And it's also a brilliant bike when you're away from traffic. I had a blast, as you can see here. There's reassuring handling, meaning you can throw the bike around a little if you want to. I don't recommend going hands-free under any circumstances, but I just shot this clip to show how stable the handling is. The CGO800S is also a pretty serviceable e-bike for easy off-road routes, even though that's not its primary purpose. Its large volume tyres and budget suspension gave a pretty smooth ride along the likes of canal towpaths and the smooth earth and grass tracks over this heathland. Power delivery is silkily smooth and ultra quiet, no matter what power level you select, thanks to the tiny, lightweight MyVice M070 motor. This is the first e-bike we've tried with this motor, and for something that only weighs an incredibly light 3.75 pounds or thereabouts, we were really impressed with it. On the flat, into headwinds and up moderate hills, there feels to be plenty of power to keep you rolling along happily near the EU spec assist limit of around 16 miles an hour. Note there's also a US spec with a top assisted speed of 20 miles an hour. There's no notable sudden cut out of power at around the assist limit either. Over our 0.8 mile long constant road climb, with plenty of 5% grade sections and a couple of much steeper sections, the CGO800S's time of 3 minutes and 10 was respectable, even if it lagged behind all the mid-drives we tested and also some of the hub motor models. But that's really what you'd expect from a single speed model with a small motor. You wouldn't necessarily expect stellar hill climbing and it to be at the top of the all-time hill climbers list. It's still pretty easy to climb at lower speeds, but if you want faster hill climbing you do need to put in a bit more human effort. In any event, the motor kept going and helped the rider to the top. For such a small motor, I would say that was really doing its job. This is just a quick rundown of the controls, cockpit controls. On your left here you have your toggle buttons, the arrows up and down that will take you through your different pedal assist levels, 1 to 5, or completely off if you want. This is a nice easy path, so it's only really needs level 1 eco. I really like these buttons, they're very large, easy to use. If you've got gloves on you'll be able to feel them. Over here on the right we have the buttons for your lighting, front light and rear light. They also control your rear indicators if you need them. And the M button over here on the left will just toggle you through the different field data which appears in the middle on your display. So just coming to a small hill, very easy just to dial up the power, and away we go, really easily up this small incline. Let's just focus on the central LED display here. You've got a battery indicator at the top, which is a percentage indicator of the battery. Miles per hour, and then we have a couple of data fields here, and you can easily toggle through those. Just use the M button on the left and you'll get various data fields there. So you have your trip distance, your odometer. We've done 113 miles here. Max and average speeds. Trip time, something called uptime, which I'm not sure what that is. And back to tripometer and odometer. So just a few basic fields, but still quite a useful selection of data there. This is your pedal assist level. We've just been on maximum, but using those big handlebar buttons by your left thumb, very easy just to pedal through that. That's it. So you can see we've got directions at the top there, but there's also a Bluetooth link between the phone and the display. So you have a symbol for the Bluetooth link, and you also get your navigation, very simple navigation features here. This would work independently, the app, the navigation would work independently on its own of the display, but by linking the Bluetooth you get the easy to follow directions here. So it's recognised we're on this cycleway through a park, and it's telling us to turn right in 238 metres.
Turn right onto the cycleway.
And again it's picked up this little junction here, sending it down this cycleway. So it's quite an intricate route.
Turn left.
Quite an intricate route it's managed to pick up. I'm really impressed with these step-thru hydraulic disc brakes on the CGO800S. They're powerful and progressive, but more importantly, or just as importantly, they give you lots of close control. As you can see on this very steep hill, it's a bike path, believe it or not, about 15 to 20% gradient, but I felt totally stable and totally under control there. I put the Tenways CGO800S through the new UK standard brake test, the average of 5 full power stops from 20 miles an hour. Its average stopping distance was 15 foot 10 inches. Certainly a solid result. So in summary, who's the Tenways CGO800S for? First of all, it would suit a good range of rider heights. Tenways say 155 centimetres to 190 centimetres. It's about 5'1" to 6'2", and again it would suit that kind of height of rider, and it would be a really comfortable fit with the frame design and the upright bars. Also, really, it's a fantastic bike for going around quiet city cycle tracks and the like. The motor's so quiet, it's really nice in cities where you've got traffic-free areas and there's no noise. It's just like gliding along, and you've got super smooth power delivery. So I found it was absolutely brilliant in those conditions. But it's also good in busy traffic. It's quick, easy to set off with that torque sensor, and you've also got the safe, stable handling and upright riding position to be able to see what's going on around you. However, it also doubles as an off-road bike, in part on very easy tracks and trails due to these large volume tyres and the front suspension we've looked at, which performs pretty well for a budget fork. It does even out humps and bumps on tracks and trails and potholes on the roads, and it's also really a bike for, I would say, moderately hilly terrain. Not want to spend a lot of time on really steep terrain with gradients of upwards of 10%, but then there's not a lot of single speeds that are really at home in that territory anyway. But if you live somewhere with lots of gradients around 7 or 8%, this will really do the business, and it will get you up the hills quite easily without too much physical effort. And that's despite the fact you've only got one gear ratio, and it's a single speed. Although we've mentioned it several times before, it's a really good value bike for the level of spec. It's simple to use, but there's quite a lot of interesting and sophisticated technology going on there with that torque sensing. There's actually an increasing number of single speeds out now, and quite a number with belt drives, but this bike stands out for the money, for something with a belt drive and a torque sensing of this really good high build quality frame, and a reasonably big 374 watt-hour battery. You're probably going to be looking at a few $100 more for most of the competition out there. There are cheaper single speed e-bikes out there, but they've probably only got things like cadence sensing, and the build quality won't be as good, and you probably may not have the luxury of the brake lights and the really powerful front light, and things like solid metal mudguards, which I felt were a real bonus on this bike. I've seen both the CGO800S, the first bike, and this one actually just as this video is being done, just starting to appear in UK dealers, so that's a really welcome development. That makes the price even better value for money. You know, if you get it through a dealer, you'll have that luxury of being able to go back there, ask questions. If you've got any problems, you'll have that backup of a local dealer. So as with any e-bike, there's one or two downsides. They're all fairly minor really. Overall I felt this was a super bike and a super smooth bike to ride. First of all, there are 5 power levels. Our circuit test didn't show a huge difference between the performance of those power levels, so really they just seem to be too many. Fewer power levels with bigger steps between them would be a bit more useful, so you wouldn't have to spend your time toggling up and down through them to get that bit more power in level 5 compared to level 1. Tenways also do an app, which I liked. We've got a detailed explanation of that in the body of the review, but it clearly needs a bit of fine-tuning. Tenway says the bugs are being ironed out right now. There's just one or two things on it, such as showing the range as 0 all the time, but overall it was pretty handy for navigation on its map screen, and also a nice clear screen to show your level selection and your speedometer and the like. So in summary, the Tenways CGO800S, it combines really good value, good quality construction, and a really super smooth, high quality and safe feeling ride. Tenways are clearly aiming at a rider who wants a good riding experience, and it's a step up from most budget e-bikes. So if you don't want to pay a premium price tag, but you want a really premium riding experience, this really is a bike that delivers. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time.